right, it's 7. We can get started. We'll start on our backs. So if you want to get comfy on your back, you can go ahead. Actually, let me tell you what props we're going to use first. I have a strap here, and we'll use it throughout. So if you have a belt or any kind of long, skinny thing, a hand towel can probably work. And then I've got a couple of blocks just in case we need them. And I had the chance to speak in church on Sunday, and I titled my talk, "Oh, Say What is Truth?" We live in a world where it seems that there are people living in even separate realities and accepting different information or different versions of the same information as truth. And we are so inundated with information that it can be hard for us to weed out what is real. And I've also been reading out loud to my kids a book called And There Was Light. And I know I've talked about the author before. His name is Jacques Lucéran. He was blind and lived in France. But he, as a little boy, was able to really dive into his inner experience and understand that he had so much capacity to discern the things around him. And he even learned how to read people and know who it was that he could trust. And that kind of inner light is something that we all have. But really aligning ourselves with truth is a process. It's not something that we arrive at all at once. But we all have an inner and intimate connection with the divine source of truth. And it's practice that helps us more closely discern that and then align ourselves with truth. And the closer we are aligned with truth, the more freedom that we have. So it's important for us to be solid enough that we're not swayed by everything that comes in our path. But it's also important that we be flexible, that we are not so rigid that when something challenges something that we've already believed, when we get new information or have an experience that challenges our set beliefs, that we don't become brittle and break. We have to have that balance of acknowledging our limited understanding that there's more possibility, as well as being confident in the things that have already been confirmed by our inner light. So as we go through our practice today, I just want you to think about that freedom that comes from aligning. And we can experience that in our bodies as we feel how the parts of our body line up and integrate into each other. And then when we're not too rigid, but not too wishy-washy, we have the most freedom. Okay. So go ahead and come down on your back. And bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Let yourself feel your breath. And feel your rib cage expanding against the floor. Feel the natural curves of your spine. And just enjoy a couple of breaths, just like a wave that you can ride. Let the inhale just naturally pour into the exhale. And the exhale just naturally rebound into the inhale. And start to rock your head from side to side. Just kind of wake up all that skin on the back of your head. Wake up your neck as you have the support of the floor underneath your head. And now you can start to rock your knees in the opposite direction of your head. And you can keep your feet on the floor. It doesn't have to be big rocks. So as you look to your left, let your knees just kind of drop to the right. And your hands can stay on your heart and belly, or you can move them to a place that feels more natural. Just kind of slide and glide on the floor there. A really gentle twist of your spine. And then pause when you come back to center. Just release your hands alongside of you and float your right foot up off the floor and just draw little circles with your knee. Try to keep your pelvis level. Just little circles of your femur bone in that hip socket, and you can switch directions. And then lengthen your leg up toward the ceiling and find some circles of your ankle. Get all the little cricks and cracks out. And then with this straight leg, just lower it down to hover above the floor, and then bend your knee and bring it back in toward your chest and lengthen your foot back up toward the ceiling. And you can play with having your foot pointed and flexed as you kind of do this bike pedal motion. And then switch directions. You'll start with your knee in and then lengthen it forward for your heel to hover off the floor and then come up with a straight leg. And next time your leg comes up straight, bend your knee and find your strap if you have one. Loop it over the ball of your foot, lengthen your leg. And then just find straight arms up your strap or towel or whatever it is that you've got. And then let those straight arms just kind of hang heavy into your shoulder sockets. Pay attention to the natural curves of your back. So you've got a little bit of space under your lower back, but the back of your pelvis and the lower ribs are on the floor. And push your foot into your strap and pull your strap into your foot. So really engage all those muscles in that right leg. And then release and find a little more stretch. Just do that a couple of times. So as you exhale, find that resistance and really engage all those muscles. And then relax and maybe stretch a little more. One last time. And then release. Bring both straps into your right hand. Bring your left hand just to your left hip. Point your right toes out to the right slightly, and then you can drop that leg out to the right, but you're not tipping to the right. Your pelvis is staying level. The left side of your pelvis is staying down on the floor. So you've just got an inner thigh stretch here. If it's in your inner knee, bend your knee or back out a little bit. And then just let yourself roll over onto that right side. You can release your strap, bend your left knee to stack on top of your right, and just bring your hands out in front of you. And we'll draw some rainbows with our left fingertips. So just take your fingertips along the floor, up over your head, And then open that left arm out to the left. All my blocks and everything in the way. And then just swim it back around. So you're opening into a twist. And then gliding that arm back around and open through your shoulder. And then pause with your left arm out to the left in that big open twist. You can look to the left. And then bend through your left elbow to bring your palm to the floor underneath your lower back. And then rock yourself back onto the back of your pelvis with your hand underneath you so your back comes onto that left hand. And you can adjust the placement of that hand to feel a stretch in the front of that left shoulder that's interesting, but not pinchy or too uncomfortable. And you can even drop your knees over to the left. Maybe even look away, look to your right. And then unwind your knees, get that arm out from underneath you, and just start to draw those little circles with your left knee. Let your lower ribs be on the floor, back of your pelvis level on the floor. And notice the support of your lower belly actually gives your femur bone more range to circle around. And then knee into your chest, lengthen it up toward the ceiling, circle out your ankle, and get the cricks and cracks out. And wiggle your toes even. And then straight leg, lower, straight down to hover above the floor, and then bend your knee back into your chest. Lengthen your leg up, and just pedal in this direction a few times. Finding that support of your lower belly in a way that gives you freedom but does not constrict. So we're not clenching anything. But it takes all the parts of our body to support. All right, switch directions. So push that leg straight forward to straight and then lift it up. Knee in, lengthen to hover, and then lift up. And then we'll come upright, grab your strap, and stretch the back of that leg. And I'm just keeping my right knee bent, foot on the floor. This is the beginning of our practice where I'm probably not super warm, especially for me in the morning. I'm never nearly as flexible as I am like in the afternoon or evening. Let your arms hang heavy, and then resist your foot into the strap, strap into your foot. All of your might, just really engage that left leg, and then release. Maintaining just a slight lower back curve, just a natural curve. And just do that resistance at your own pace, a total of 3 times. Resist and relax. And we'll find our inner thigh stretch. Bring both of your straps to your left hand. Turn your toes slightly out to the left and then open that leg to the left. But keep your right hip grounded so you're not rocking. You can lengthen out through, reach out through that heel. Even think of kind of dialing your tailbone toward the floor more, but settling your front ribs in. And then we'll rock onto that left side. You can release your strap, bend both knees. Stack your right hand on top of your left. And then sweep it overhead and out into your twist. And then sweep it back. So just explore that range of motion in your shoulder, twisting through your thoracic spine. And then you can pause with your right arm out to the right. Look out to the right. Bend that right elbow. Bring your palm to the floor underneath your lower back. Or you can even bend your elbow more and bring it up toward your shoulder blades. And then roll the back of your pelvis to the floor. Just get that rotator cuff stretch. You'll get probably a little bit of your deltoid there. And if it feels friendly, you can drop your knees to the right, maybe look to the left. And come upright. Wiggle that hand out from underneath you. Set your feet up like you would for a bridge and make your arms like robot arms. So your fingertips are pointing toward the ceiling and your triceps are just on the floor right alongside your rib cage. Now, we're not going to do a bridge. I want you to think of keeping your spine in a straight line from your tailbone up through the crown of your head, okay? And push your triceps into the floor. Draw your shoulder blades together and really engage your back body. And now lift your chest and head up off the floor, really pushing your elbows into the floor, and then lower yourself down. So really engaging that upper back and really engaging the backs of your arms, and just lift a tiny bit and then lower. And just do 2 more. Lift and lower. So your heart's reaching up toward the ceiling, but there's not a back bend. You're trying to plank as much as you can. Let's do 1 more for good measure. And then relax your shoulder. You might shake your head a little bit. And now you can come up into bridge. I'm going to keep my arms in this robot position. Just push into your feet, lift your hips. Draw your shoulder blades together underneath you. And then feel like you're dragging your heels back without moving them anywhere. And then inner thighs rotate down toward the floor. Find some space in the back of your pelvis. And maybe release your arms and grab the outer edges of your mat. And resist your triceps into the floor, or you could interlace fingers underneath you. Keep a space underneath your neck, space between your chin and your chest. Let's hold for 2 more breaths. And then release. Just return to those rocks that we started at the beginning. Turning your head one way, your knees the other. Come back through center, head the other way, knees the other. Just 1 more time to each side. We'll work our way up and get moving. Grab onto the backs of your thighs and roll up to hover. And maybe do this a couple of times, or maybe a few. Rolling back, hovering on your sitting bones. Next time you come up, lengthen your right leg, bend your left knee. We'll kind of face the long edge of our mat toward the end. And just find an easy side bend over to your right. And then ground your left hand on the floor and just find a wrist smush here. Put some weight on it and just try to keep one part of your hand connected with the floor as you circle. And then switch directions. Ground down through your hand and let yourself find a side bend over to your left. And now we can flow. Side bend to your right. And side bend to your left. Side bend to your right. When you come over to the left, you can ground through that left hand and rock onto your left shin and lengthen this way. Just flow through those two stages. We'll just do one more time. And we'll return to this over and over today. Ground through that left hand, lift up, and then bring your right hand down. Turn your right toes to the floor, and then just lift your left knee up into your chest in this plank with your knee into your chest. Now really draw that knee in around your upper spine and step your left foot in between your hands into a high lunge. Make sure you're stable there. Push into your left heel and come on up and reach high. Breathe here. And then bend through your right arm. Just grab a hold of your elbow with your left hand. Got this long stretch from your right big toe up that whole front chain of your body on that right side. And lengthen your arms up. And then come halfway forward. If you have your strap, you can grab it and bring it into your hand. Push into that left heel. We'll come to balance on our left foot, right knee into chest. And just find your balance here. It's our first time standing on one foot. And then you can play with wrapping your strap around your right foot. And then lengthening that right foot forward. Draw your left outer hip in. And feel your left heel, big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound on the floor. Lift through that left arch. And then you can play with bringing your strap into your right hand, left hand to your left hip, maybe opening your leg out to the side. And then draw that right outer hip down toward the floor. Now bend into that knee. You can release your strap. Just keep it up there at the top of your mat. Take a big step back with your right leg and find a warrior two. And then you can open your arms out here. Take a breath in. And then interlace your hands behind your back. So you're just facing the long edge of your mat. Draw your elbows toward each other. You can straighten your arms. And then bring both of your fists outside your left hip, so that front hip with the knee bent. Lean your head away from that shoulder, that front shoulder, so lean your head back. And then lean your head forward toward that bent left knee. And then lift your head. Keep your right arm in that half bind and bring your left forearm to your left thigh. Kind of resist your arm into your lower back and open your heart. So lean back into that right shoulder. You might even look up. And take one more breath there. And then unwind your right arm, bring it alongside your ear. Big breath in. And then right foot to the floor. Come onto your right toes. Bring your right knee to the floor. And then sweep your left leg back. So we're in this modified side plank. You can reach your left arm toward the ceiling. And then sit back. Right hip to the floor, lengthen through your left leg. So now we're just on the other side. Find your side bend over to your left. And then plant your right hand and side bend over to the right. Over to the left. And then as you ground through your hand, this time find that wrist smush. Keeping some weight, some load on that wrist, some part of your hand connected with the floor as you circle it around. And then ground through your hand. Find your side bend. Just back and forth. You can lift up onto your right shin. And come around. And as we visit and revisit a movement, right, you can refine your alignment. Where does it feel like you have more stability as you place your hand to support your shoulder and lift your hip? What engagement helps you have more freedom in your side bend, more length in your hamstrings? Right? It's an experiment, and you can refine it as you practice. Go ahead and bring your hips up, and then both hands to the floor. Left toes to the floor. Just float that right knee into your chest. And find this plank with that knee up. Really push the floor away. Spread through your shoulder blades. Lift your hips up as much as you need to. Step your right foot forward into your lunge. And come on up. Reach your arms high. Ground through that left big toe ball mound. And then bend into your left elbow and grab it with your right hand. Kind of lean the back of your head into that left forearm. But don't flare open your front ribs. And take one more breath there. And then reach your arms high. Lean partway forward. Grab your strap if you want to. And then push into your heel, come up to standing with your left knee into your chest. Now you can just, this first time through, just focus on balancing with your knee bent. Or you can loop your strap around your foot and lengthen it straight forward. So we did this lying down. So find some resistance of your strap into your foot, lengthen your spine, and bring both straps into your left hand to right hip, and open out. Draw your left outer hip down toward the floor. And then bend your knee. Just drop your strap, step back into your warrior two. Adjust your feet as much as you need to so you have a long enough stance that you feel supported. You can bend your knee. You can see that right big toe on the floor inside your knee. So your knee is not sickling in. Engage through that outer hip. And then interlace your fingers behind your back the unusual way. Draw your elbows together. Reach, straighten your arms any amount. And then bring your fisted hands outside that right hip, a bent knee hip. And then you can tip your head toward your shoulder, your front shoulder. I mean, we'll do both, so it doesn't really matter which one's first. But feel that integrity of your connection with the floor. And then from that solid foundation, lift up. And tip your head the other way. Keep drawing that right elbow toward center, toward the midline of your spine. Bring your head straight up. Keep your left hand where it is. You can just bring your right forearm to your thigh. And then kind of resist the back of your arm into your lower back and your back into your arm. Maybe look up. You can lean back into that left shoulder. And then release that arm, sweep it alongside your ear. Lengthen from your left heel out through your left fingertips. And then bring your left hand down. Come onto the ball of your left foot. Bring your left knee to the floor. Sweep your right leg back, open up into this modified side plank. And then just bring your left hip to the floor. And we'll start again. So we'll go through that flow a few more times. Well, maybe just one more time on each side. But now that you've been here before, really work on finding what feels supportive in your body and how the different parts relate to each other. And that's something that you have to experience from the inside out. So as you ground through this left hand, find some external rotation of your upper arm bone to really integrate that into your shoulder socket and the rest of your back. As you reach here, resist that left outer hip down. Just find strength. Next time we come up on that left shin, turn your right toes to the floor, bring your right hand down, lift up into this plank, tiny ball, your knee up as far as you can. And I kind of have to come up onto my left fingertips to really get my left foot forward. I need that a little bit of height. Find your foundation with your feet and come on up, reach high. Bend your right elbow and grab with your left hand. Lengthen. And then reach your arms high. Come partway forward. We'll come to balance on our left foot with our right knee into their chest. You can use your strap, or you can just have your leg bent. Or you could grab your big toe with your peace fingers, your second and third fingers. And just start here. Straighten through that grounded leg. Tailbone toward the floor. And then maybe push your leg towards straight, either with your strap, or you can try holding your toe. And so it could be here. And now find a little external rotation of those right toes as you bring it out to the right. And have your hand on your hip, really engaging that left outer hip. Let your heart be open. And then soften through both knees. Step your right leg back into your warrior two. And ground down. You can open your arms. And take a breath in here. Interlace your hands behind your back. And draw your elbows together. And open your heart. And then bring your fist hands outside that left hip. And tip your head back. And tip your head forward. And bring your head upright. Keep that half bind with your right arm. Bring your left forearm to your thigh, or maybe toward the floor or a block. And grab your inner ankle. Lean back. You could experiment with drawing your left arm underneath you and reaching for your fingertips, your right fingertips behind you. But this is a place where you have to find that integrity. Find that alignment. So you're drawing that left outer hip underneath you and really rooting through your grounded foot. Release your arms however they are And bring your right hand to the floor. Step back into a plank and just pause here. Now you can just rock onto the outer edge of your pinky foot and come into a side plank here, or you can bring your right knee to the floor and open up. Find the external rotation of your right upper arm, and then draw your right hip to the floor, and we'll just start over. Side bend to your left. Ground through that right hand. Come up onto your left shin. Move with your own breath. Play with this placement of your right hand. And find a place that really supports you. And the next time your right hand's grounded, you lift it onto your shin. Bring both hands to the floor. Find your plank, knee into chest. Maybe come onto your fingertips of that right hand to get your foot really stepped forward. Come on up to your high lunge. Pause and then bend your left elbow and kind of lean your head into that left forearm. And then release. Come halfway forward. Grab your strap if you need to use it, if you want to use it. Ground through that right foot. Left knee into chest. You can loop your foot with your strap, or maybe grab your big toe with your peace fingers, really pushing down into the floor to lengthen up. Think of lengthening through the roof of your mouth. And then push that left leg towards straight. Oh. Find a slight external rotation and bring that left leg out to the left. And then soften both knees. Step back into your warrior two. Open your arms. And then interlace your hands the unusual way behind your back. Draw your elbows together, maybe. Straighten. And then bring your fisted hands outside your right hip. Lean your ears one way, toward one shoulder, and toward the other shoulder. And then bring your head upright. Release your right hand. Find your way to your bound, half bound side angle. So maybe forearm on thigh. Maybe grab your inner ankle. Maybe fingertips to the floor. You can play with snuggling your shoulder underneath your arm and reaching for fingertips. Think about really aligning and building from your foundation up and finding support that's not too rigid, not too flexible. We're just right. Release your arms wherever they are. Left hand to the floor. Right hand to the floor. Step back into your plank. Find your side plank. So either left knee down and open out, or rock onto the pinky edge of that left foot. And then bring your right hip to the floor. And we'll change it up a little bit this time. Flow through your side bends. You're going to rock onto your shin if you want, or you can keep your hip down. We'll just do one more round on each side. And then find that plank. Tuck your right toes, bring your left knee into your chest. And now send your left foot out to the right. Ground down into your left hand. Bring your right foot all the way to the floor and open up to the side plank, fallen triangle thing. And now bring your right hand down. Come onto the ball of that right foot. And we'll bring our left hip to the floor. So keep those back toes kind of tucked and drop your right armpit toward the floor. And just get a nice stretch on the outer line of your left leg. And it can be bent as much as it needs to be. You can bend your elbows, maybe come to the floor. This seems to take the intensity out of the IT band stretch for me. So you can kind of find your place with this little bit of a twist. And if you're down on your forearms, come back up onto your hands. Externally rotate your upper arm, so let your elbow creases shine forward. Push into your hands, push into those tucked left toes. Come back into your plank with your knee into your chest. And now rock onto the pinky edge of your right foot and bring your left toes behind you. You can push into those left toes, lift your hip, and find a wild thing. So find that support on your right hand, externally rotating that upper arm bone. And then both hands down, step your left foot around and come into downward facing dog. And just enjoy your breath there. And one more round of breath. And then step your your left foot forward into a lunge and bring your right knee down. Ground through your right hand, reach your left arm up into a big twist. And then left hand down, lift your back knee, straighten your front leg any amount. And we'll just flow through those two. So knee down, open twist, hands down, lengthen both legs. And next time you've got both of your legs long, ground your right heel. You can bring your left hand up to your left shin or ankle and open into a triangle pose. And find your alignment here. Engage through that left outer hip. So it's almost like you're taking your left sitting bone towards your right inner thigh. Push down into that right pinky toe edge of your foot and lengthen out through the crown of your head. Now bring your left hand to your left hip. You can bend into your right hand to your right hip, sorry. Bend into your left knee and make your way into a half moon. So just slide your hand forward. If you want to block, you can bring your hand to a block. Maybe reach high. And then bend into your left knee. Step back into your warrior two. Just ground here. And then cartwheel your hands down. Step back into your plank. Just step your right knee halfway up toward that right wrist. And then ground your right hip. And start flowing through that side bend to your flash dance. Sorry, my kitty is really meowing. Just back and forth. And then bring both hands to the floor. Find that plank with your knee into your chest. And then send your right foot out to the left. And then drop that right hip toward the floor. Well, actually, you can open up into your fallen triangle first. And then bring your left hand down. Right hip to the floor. And kind of think about pulling this left or right palm back. And find a little bit of a twist here. Stay active through that right leg. You can come down onto forearms. Just kind of play with where it feels interesting in your body. And find that core support and integrity that helps support you. And take one more breath wherever you are. And then come back up on your hands. Tuck those back toes if you've untucked them. Push into your hands. Externally rotate your upper arm bones. Come back into your plank with your knee into your chest. And then take your right toes behind you and find this wild thing. Just stay on those right toes. Rotate your heart toward the ceiling. And then right hand down. Just step into downward facing dog. Take a breath in and a breath out. And step your right foot forward, left knee down. And find a big arm up toward the ceiling. Both hands down. Straighten both knees, so lift that right knee, lengthen through your left. You can have blocks on either side of that front foot. Bend both knees, reach up into your twist. Back and forth. And stay connected to your breath. Next time you straighten both legs, rotate your left heel down. You can bring your right hand up onto your shin. Open yourself up into your triangle pose. Feel expansive through all 4 of your limbs. So you've got energy radiating out from the center, out through each of your feet, out through each of your hands, and then out through the crown of your head. Open through your heart. Draw that right outer hip underneath you. Lengthen from the crown of your head out through that left heel. And then we'll move into our half moon. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Bend into your right knee. And bring your fingertips to the floor or to a block kitty corner from your left pinky toe. And just slide in. Really think of opening your heart out to the side. The inner edge of your left foot is parallel with the floor. You're long from that left heel out through the crown of your head. And take one more breath. And then float back into warrior 2. And pause. And take a breath. Cartwheel your hands down. Step back into your downward facing dog. And then just bring both feet to the floor. If you have blocks, just grab them and have them handy. Step your right foot. Well, let's start with our left foot because we've been starting with our left foot. Start with your left foot forward. Hands on your blocks and just bend and straighten your left leg a few times. And then pause with that straight leg. So you're hinging at your hip crease and you're sending both of your inner thighs back. So think of that left inner thigh rotating toward the floor and back, your right inner thigh rotating back toward the wall behind you as you lengthen through your heart. You can stay here, or you can kind of shimmy that left foot forward a little bit. Use your hands on your blocks. You can toe, knee your right leg back, coming toward your splits or hanumanasana. You can take a block and put it underneath your left thigh at any height, so you can let your torso come more upright. Think about having your hips as square as possible. So you're not opening this right hip back. You're kind of aiming your hips forward. And so I like to keep my back toes tucked. It just helps this back leg stay active. You can have your hands still on your blocks. You don't even have to have snuck your leg back at all. Just take one more breath wherever you are. Just big stretch through that left leg. And then make your way out of it. Just sneak a bend into that left knee. And come back into a table. Maybe even just do a downward facing dog with your hands on your blocks. And drop your heart back toward your thighs. And we'll find our low lunge with our right foot forward. Left knee down. And just bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. Do that one more time, and then we'll pause with that straight right leg. Inner thighs back and apart. So it helps create space in the back of your sacrum. Okay. And there's just a lift on your low, low belly. You can even kind of feel that engagement of your low and transverse abdominis. And then as you want, you can play with sliding that front leg forward any amount, knee toeing that back leg back. Could bring a block at any height underneath your hip, or just keep your hands on your blocks. I like having this hip because I can't get all the way to the floor. But if I just have my hands on my blocks or my hands on the floor, then it's more an arm balance than it is a stretch. Or like this leg, I'm a lot more open. So often I like just to put a rolled up blanket under my hip. And take one more breath. And then sneak your way out of that. And just recalibrate with another downward facing dog with your hands on your blocks, if you've got your blocks. And then knees to the floor. Cross your ankles behind you and just make your way back onto your back. And we'll end with a bridge. And then that hamstring stretch either with a strap or not. So just make your way to a bridge that feels good to you. And think about the alignment. So you can come up if it doesn't feel super supportive in your hips or your spine doesn't feel symmetrical. Just bring yourself down, adjust your feet, adjust your shoulders, and then come back up. Let your gaze be straight up at the ceiling. Right, we are practicing aligning with truth. Right, and investigating from our inner experience of our body so that then we can have more freedom. All right, go ahead and come down. And draw one leg in, straighten it through up toward the ceiling. You can use your peace fingers around your big toe or your strap to find your hamstring stretch. And I'm going to go let my cat outside really fast. But just breathe through your hamstring stretch there. Come on. Pay attention to the natural curves of your spine. If you want to draw that leg out to the side, you can. You can have your opposite leg on the floor. Notice what little adjustments you can make with your pelvis, with your outer hip, with your lower ribs dropping down. And come up to center and just bend both knees and find a figure 4. So cross your top ankle over your bottom thigh. And you can reach and find your grip behind your opposite thigh. Maybe rock a little. And then release your hands, cross this top leg all the way over. And then drop your knees opposite from the top leg. So I've got my right leg on top. Drop your knees over to your left. Look to your right. That was a chain reaction through my spine there. And then come back up to center. And we'll just switch legs. Lengthen your other leg up and use your strap, or you can grab your big toe. But pay attention to those natural curves of your spine. Right? You've got space under your neck and a little space under your lower back. You can think of pushing that inner thigh away from you. And settling your front low ribs in. And even this hand that's holding, or both hands that are holding, right, are straight. You're kind of finding a little external rotation so you can plug that into the shoulder. And maybe externally rotate those toes just a little to open your leg out to the side. And now you can think of drawing that outer hip underneath you, kind of pointing in the same direction as your other heel. So I've got a hold of my left big toe, and my left outer hip is drawing underneath me, thinking of pointing it toward my right heel. And come up through center, bend both knees, find your figure 4 stretch. You can rock any amount. And then release your hands, cross your leg all the way over, arms out to a T, drop opposite. So my left leg's on top, so I'm dropping my legs to the right. And look to the left. Back up through center. Uncross your legs. You can find a happy baby. Anything you want to set your spine symmetrically. And then make your way to your final rest. You can lay in Shavasana to let yourself absorb. You can find props to support you. You can end in a seated meditation. Wherever you are, close your eyes. And just scan your body. Notice the skin on your forehead and let it soften. And feel your whole scalp and relax it. Notice your nose and your cheekbones and your jaw, your tongue, your neck and throat and shoulders. Relax the whole length and weight of your arms. And notice the quality of the energy in your hands, the aliveness, even tingling there. And feel your rib cage expand and draw in with your breath. Notice your heartbeat. And feel the softness of your belly and the fluid, supple support of your spine. And feel the length and weight of your legs. And the energy in your feet. And just honor your innate capacity and ability to discern and align with truth. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Namaste.